Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, this is Tenurster here, and welcome to the special Games Guide edition of Total War. Today we're going to look at this bit here, the campaign description, which so well sets the scene for your campaigns, particularly if they are a civilization you don't necessarily know a huge amount about. Now, there are actually several of the factions here, the non-playable ones of course, that have no description at all, which is a little bit sad, isn't it? A bit sad, but we can change that. It isn't too hard to go and fiddle in the game files. I'll just show you some of the little pitfalls that you might fall into, and hopefully you'll be able to do this for yourself should you want to. If you're a bit of a nerd like me, then you definitely will be doing it. Now, of course, another thing you might like to do is do this for a bit of role play. Obviously, I've recently started my campaign as King Arthur's Britons, and so I've got myself a nice long description here just to get me in the mood, really. It kind of set my mind for the new campaign at hand, and maybe that will work for you well. Of course, we've done quite a lot of videos recently looking at how you can change the unit factions, change the buildings, change the names, all these different things, and this kind of brings a lot of that together, whereby if you like to get into all of that different bit of modding, by this point you can really start to design your own campaign, a little bit like this King Arthur campaign here. So if indeed that's what you want to do, I think the campaign description is something that you really just want to tie up the loose ends of your campaign. So let's get into the game files and let's see how we can make this happen. Whether you're inside Rome Total War or Barbarian Invasion, you need to head inside the data folder, and from there into the text folder. That will take you to the file we need to be editing today, which is the campaign_descriptions. This file here is fairly self-explanatory. As you might imagine, this line here refers to the Britons. This is their description. You don't want to change anything in the brackets. That's the reference so that the other files can find this one. So we can obviously change the name here and change the description underneath. The only little hitch is that you need to be careful because this isn't the final version for the Britons. If you scroll down, you might find sometimes changes have been made. So there's some changes here to the Brutii, the Germans, Parthians, Greeks, and finally the Britons. Do check all the way down to make sure that is the final change that has occurred. And with that, then we know this is the one that we need to be editing. So let's change this round to King Arthur's Britons. And then I'm just going to paste in my description over here. As we reload the game, you'll notice King Arthur's Britons have appeared here. Our long description is also on the screen, but it doesn't have any paragraph breaks because we need to add in a tiny bit of code just to make sure that happens. So let's head back in the files and let's quickly sort that one out. As ever with coding, there's always the odd bit of awkwardness. Obviously, I have pressed enter to get my 4 different paragraphs, the 4 that you saw at the start of the video, but we do need to add a bit of extra scripting to make this work. So if you scroll up, you'll be able to look at other examples, and that's normally the best thing to do when you're looking in the files. If we look across here, you'll notice the end of this line has this \n/n, and essentially that's just a little bit of code which says it's the end of the paragraph. So I'm going to go down here to the King Arthur's Britons, and we are going to simply add this onto the end of each of these lines. It should fit literally just after the full stop with no gap. Just make sure you get all your formatting nice and accurate. And this time, you don't need it on the bottom line, by the way, no need to worry about that. And this time, when we save this up, it'll be able to work. You can see here that the paragraph breaks have now appeared on the screen, which is marvellous. We're pretty much ready to go. The only other thing, of course, though, is what about these other factions? What about Armenia here, who have no description? How can we add one of those in? Well, it's fairly simple. I'll just take you through that. So what of the likes of Armenia and Thrace and Scythia? Well, they don't actually have any writing in here at all. They have no descriptions ready for you to play around with, so all you need to do is create your own. So we're going to do that underneath the Britons section. Just give 1 line of spacing, that's all you need, and we can go and copy and paste this from the Britons just to give us a bit of a basis to work with. Obviously, we want to get rid of Britannia. I want to change that over to Armenia. Obviously, worth bearing in mind, actually, that Britannia isn't the same as Britons that normally the factions refer to. Just be careful about that. As it happens for these 6 factions, Numidia, Scythia, Spain, Thrace, Dacia, Armenia, all 6 of those, you just need to type those names in and they will work. You shouldn't really have too many problems with it. So we're going to put Armenia as the campaign Armenia title, and under description you can obviously put what you want. We go with horse archers ahoy, because essentially that's what the campaign's going to come down to. And if you like, you can of course go and add in information for the rest of the factions. Leave one line of spacing at the bottom there. We'll save this up and we'll load up the game. That is all for now then, ladies and gentlemen. I will leave you with a few of these descriptions, nice and easy to get sorted. Maybe you want to have a little play around with them yourself. Perhaps you'll want to do a big piece of role play like with the Britons, or maybe you'll just want to make things a little bit more historically accurate. I don't know, that's really all up to you. There will of course be more game guides coming out very soon, but for now I will leave you. I'm Thomas, this is To Knows the Human, and this has been a little guide to campaign descriptions. Thank you and goodbye. They are just throwing themselves to their deaths! Woohoo! Chunky, chunky, chunky death. Oh, that wasn't a very good charge. Oh, we're flying! There is no one near beside him. Yeah! Axe in the head! Axe in the head. Yeah, beautiful.